Okay. Well, hello everyone. I am Cindy Bridges from the Student Advisement Office, and I want to welcome you today to, I think it's the last hour maybe of your intersession class today. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what you need to be thinking about in the next couple of weeks, particularly about Ask Week and what that means to you and early registration. But also we're going to talk to you about just general degree planning advice. And as you talk with your advisor, how you're going to look at progressing through your degree program and getting that completed. Now, Carrie Jones is also with me today, and she's going to also talk with you a little bit more in depth about how to find some information that you need to have access to in your Grizzly Den account. Basically, anything that you need to know about your student information, you can find in the My Grizzly Den, especially under the My Enrollment tab. And I'll refer to a couple of the links, and then she'll take you through more of it as she goes into her part. So look with me on the yellow sheet that we handed out to you. And we'll start on the side that says Missouri State students at the top. And if you notice there's a box that has 4 questions in it. So we're going to hit upon those questions first, and then we'll talk a little bit about the bottom part of the sheet. So as you're meeting with your advisors over this next few weeks, preparing you for early registration, and we'll talk about why that's important in a moment. But as you're talking with your advisor, talk about these 4 questions particularly. The first one, what degree are you seeking? Do you know what degree you're seeking? Do you know what that degree is even meaning to you? Are you planning to transfer into further education after your associates? Or do you plan to go on into a career in a particular area just right after an associate's degree? And so if you know the path that you're seeking, your advisor can help you to make sure you're getting into the right degree program, and then also what classes are particular to that degree program. We don't want you to take extra classes if you don't have to. If we can help you prevent that, make sure that you're getting the right classes for your program and that's leading towards your goal, then that's what we want to do. And so talk to your advisor about what degree you're seeking, how you can even tell what degree you got admitted under. Many times students tell me they don't even really know that piece. What are they even admitted under right now? And so they can help you find out that information. Also, again, what will you do with this degree once you leave, either leave our institution after an associate's degree or possibly stay around here for one of our bachelor's degree programs through Springfield campus? So the third question, under what catalog year were you admitted? So I know that all of you got a catalog when you came in, because if you came to Star Orientation, we provided one to you. Now, I know yours didn't have money in it, but I'm going to tell you why mine does, because it's important for you to know which catalog you're supposed to follow so that you can take the right classes, again, for your degree program. If you're taking extra classes, it's costing you more time. It's costing you more money, and we want to help you prevent that from happening. And so, again, we want to make sure that you know what catalog to follow, as well as what degree program to follow. So those of you who started this fall, it was your first semester, you're under the 2014-2015 catalog, which is the one with the money in it. And so this one looks very much like this one, but this is the previous year's catalog. And for the first time this fall, we had a significant change in the general studies degree. It's been quite a few years since we had much change going on in that degree program. But if you're following the wrong catalog, you're going to see some significant changes there that would affect you. And so make sure that you know which one to follow. So let me ask you, did anyone start in the summer? Not this intersession class, but did you take some classes in June? Okay. So you're under the 2013-2014 catalog. So you need to make sure that you have a copy of that and that your advisor and you are having a conversation about what classes pertain to your degree program. Now, I mentioned the general studies degree. That may not be everyone's degree program. We just use it as an example because a larger percentage of our students are following that degree program right now. So we give it out as an example, and we'll refer to it. As you're having your conversation with your advisor, the fourth question there comes into play, or it should. How many hours are you needing to take for financial aid? Are you on the A+ program? Are you using A+ funding? If so, then you have to be full-time to use those funds. Now, if you are using Pell Grant or you're using student loans, that may not apply. So Donna Bassam is going to be in here shortly, and she's going to go more into depth in the financial aid side of things. I'm not an expert in that area, but I just want to make sure that you're aware that you need to have that communication with your advisor about what your needs are for financial aid. If you're on a specific scholarship that maybe requires that you complete 15 credit hours each semester, or maybe a total of 30 credit hours per academic year, then your advisor needs to know that so that they're helping you get the right amount of classes to meet that requirement. So any questions about how to tell what catalog you should be following? Okay. Beyond that, if you are planning to go for a bachelor's degree, then I would encourage you to at least access that university's website, if you know specifically what university you're planning to attend, and get a catalog or get a copy of your degree program from that university so that your advisor can look at that with you and see if there are specific classes you could be taking here that would not only meet your associate's requirements, but also help you meet bachelor's degree requirements. So I brought Springfield's catalog. This is the last one they actually printed, which was 2010-11, but now they have it all online. So it's kind of more convenient. You can access it easily and just print out the particular pages for your intended program. So for instance, let's think about if you were going into a bachelor's of elementary education. There are very specific natural sciences that you need to take. There are specific math classes that you need to take, specific humanities. It gets very detailed. If you're not aware of that, or if your advisor is not aware that that is your intention to go into that area, they might not be able to help you select the proper classes here within your associate's degree. So maybe, for instance, Psychology 121. That's a requirement on that degree program for elementary ed. So Psychology 121 happens to also meet a requirement on the associate's degree in one of the areas called Social and Behavioral Sciences. So why not take Psych 121 as meeting one of those requirements on the associate's degree so that it will also help you meet that requirement on the bachelor's degree. So see how you can kind of use a class to meet two different requirements? It's leading toward that future goal rather than just thinking about the immediate goal of your associate's degree. So that's what our job is, to help you to make sure that you're looking toward the future goal, not just your associate's. But we can only do that if we have the information from you as far as what you're interested in pursuing later. Now, the reason I have money in it, and we even higher denomination money, if you're taking the wrong classes for your major or for your bachelor's degree interest here at the associate's level, when you get to that other university, you're going to have to still take those classes and at a much higher tuition. And so we encourage you again to try to get them done here. You're paying what, a little over $100 per credit hour now, and you may pay up to $200-300 per credit hour at another university. So we want to just try to help you as best as we can, but we can only do that with that active communication with you. Now, at the bottom part of this yellow sheet, I'm not going to have time today to talk to you about each of these degree programs, but I want to give a little bit of a summary of how to tell the difference between the degrees that we offer here. Probably one of the most confusing things for students when they come in and talk with us, how do I tell the difference between all these different associate's degrees you guys offer? And so we have a large box here full of Associate of Applied Science degrees. And those Associate of Applied Science degrees are very specific interest areas. And so you might have child and family development, or you might have computer graphics and programming, or agriculture, and business with different emphasis areas. So you have a very specific area that you're studying, and so you have very little general education requirements in those degree programs. So those are not designed necessarily to transfer into a bachelor's degree. Now, does that mean you could not go on to a bachelor's degree if you did that degree? Of course not. You can. It's just that you're probably going to be missing some general education requirements to go if you decide to go down the bachelor's degree route. Again, talking with your advisor about what you're interested in and let them help you plan out the best degree program route to get you there. And then in the middle box, we have what are called transferable degrees. So these are degrees that do have your general education part covered, and then possibly some emphasis on a certain area. So like the Associate of Arts in General Studies degree. That degree, Carrie, have you handed out that one yet? Okay. You should have a copy of the advising worksheet for the Associate of Arts in General Studies degree. Again, maybe that's not your program, but we just use it as the example here today. But your advisor will talk with you about how you can fill in those different areas, again, to lead towards your goal. But notice there on the right-hand side, about middle way down, there's an area for electives. And so that's a good place to kind of try some different interests out. So you have some room for choice in that general studies degree. In the Associate of Art in Teaching, which is the second one listed there, it's very similar to the general studies degree. It still covers the general education requirements. But instead of just picking and choosing your electives in whatever area you'd like to look at, you have some very specific classes that go on toward the education degree. And so that can kind of get you a, we'll term it a jump start into that education degree. The same way with the Associate of Science in Business. So if you're planning to go on for a bachelor's in business, then the transferable degree that would work best for you might be the Associate of Science in Business. Now you notice there that I mentioned in the applied science area that we have an Associate of Applied Science in Business as well. But again, the difference between those is that word applied. And so if you're doing the applied science degree, you have just a little bit of general education and a whole bunch of business classes. And so maybe I was interested in accounting, say. And so I saw accounting attached to that Associate of Applied Science in Business, so I think that's the one for me. But then I need to talk with the advisor about what I plan to do with that degree. Do I want to be a CPA? Do I want to go that far into accounting, or do I just want a bookkeeper position, something like that? If I'm wanting an entry-level, just bookkeeper position, then maybe the applied science and accounting would be what I would want to do. But if I want to go on and get a bachelor's in accounting and sit for the CPA licensure, then I'm going to need to go into a transferable degree so that I can go on to a bachelor's. And so there's quite a difference between those degrees. So again, that communication with your advisor about what you're wanting to do so that we can help you get the right degree and then the right classes for that degree. I'm trying to watch the time, Carrie, so help me. And then we have the bachelor's degree boxes, and we also have the nursing degree here at the bottom. Nursing is one of the few programs that you have to actually apply to that specific program. We also have respiratory care, and you have to apply to those programs and be accepted into them before you can start taking the specific classes for that program. Now, you may be able to take some prerequisites and things like that that will help you get into the program, but you have to apply and be accepted to actually do like the nursing classes or the respiratory therapy classes. Now notice that there's arrows going both directions with that degree, because you can stop at an associate's degree and go out into a career in nursing. As long as you pass the state board's exam, you can go out and be a registered nurse with a nursing degree. But you could go on for a bachelor's in nursing as well. And so it's got an arrow going over into that bachelor's degree too. So our bachelor's degree selection and master's degree selection that you can get that are available here through Gone Hall are Springfield campus degrees, but you can get them without leaving our campus. Now, some of the master's degrees that are listed there, there may be some components that you still have to do through the Springfield campus, but some of them are all completely here. I'm a product of that myself. I actually did the Associate of Arts degree, the Bachelor's in General Business, and then went on and got the Master's in Business Administration, and I never had to leave this campus. So it was a really good opportunity for me to be able to get a higher education and not have to move or not have to transfer or travel back and forth to Springfield multiple days per week. And I know you may be in a similar situation where maybe that's not feasible for you to do, to travel or to move. And so if you're interested in any of those areas, I encourage you to think about staying here and getting one of the bachelor's or master's degrees through Don Hall. So any questions about the degree programs? I know it's a lot of information. So again, talk with your advisor about how to make sure you're under the correct program. Now, I've been talking about, make an appointment with your advisor, talk with your advisor, but how do you know who your advisor is? A couple of different ways. Hopefully you've already been in Grizzly Den and seen who your advisor is. But in that middle box, under My Advisor, you can click on that, and we'll try it and see if Carrie's been kicked out. She was in Grizzly Den, and then we'll see if it kicked her out. We're still in, Carrie. So you notice that Carrie was a student here as well years ago, did her associate's degree here. And so she still has access to her student information. So you notice here at the top it has information about who the assigned advisor is. So hers happened to be Anthony or Frank Priest, and so his contact information is there. And then our office, the Aaccess office down in the library, will always be listed, and my name is specifically listed there, but you can always contact us and we're happy to help you as well. Now, if you haven't checked this yet, another way that we try to make sure you know who your advisor is that you will get a postcard. Should be toward the end of next week, maybe the Monday or the following week, somewhere in that time frame. You should be getting a postcard in the mail that reminds you about Ask Week and early registration and prompts you to make an appointment with your advisor. And the name of the advisor will be listed on the front of that card. So be looking for that. But I also know that students sometimes don't get the postcard because maybe somebody else got the mail and didn't ever give it to you. Or maybe your address is not correct in the system. So here's another way for you to check and see who your advisor is. Now, as you work with your advisor, and again, I said that it's very important that you meet with them soon. The reason that it's important specifically to meet with them soon, if you haven't already done so, I have seen a couple of mine already come in and do the planning for their schedule, so they're ahead of the game. But if you haven't, you're going to be seeing these posters for Ask Week and early registration all over campus. Reminders, install study, and the student bulletin. Don't feel nagged, but we just want to make sure you understand how important it is. But you'll see posters, and I think we've covered this one up nearly, but you'll see posters in the classrooms. You'll get the postcard. We're going to try to help you remember that it's important to make an appointment with your advisor during Ask Week if possible or before, and plan for early registration. Now, why does it matter if you register during early registration? I have students tell me all the time, I can't think about next semester. I've got to take care of this one first. And I encourage you to still take 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it takes to meet with your advisor, make a plan for next semester, and take advantage of early registration. Because you are a current student, that we give you the opportunity to register before the new students start coming in. So did anybody in here attend a STAR that was maybe in July or August? Lots of hands. Remember how sometimes it was hard to find a good schedule? And advisors that help with STARS, do you remember how hard it is to find a good schedule? Or maybe a lot of classes that you were looking at are full. Don't let that happen to you. Register during early registration. It's there for a reason. We want you to make sure that you get the classes that you need before the new students start coming in. Now, the schedule for registration is over on the lower right-hand side of that green sheet. And if you would, take that for me and think about when your day to register is. And maybe circle that, and that way you know that not only is that your time to register, but you need to meet with your advisor before that day. So those of you who started this semester and didn't have any credits coming in, so didn't have any transfer work or dual credit or dual enrollment, you're usually going to register the Friday of the early registration week. So that for this semester would be November 21st. And you'll notice that on the schedule down there at the bottom. However, if you are in a special, what they call a special program, or part of a special population, then you might bump up to the first day of early registration. So if you are in the honors program, and I know some of you are, if you're in the early degree program, and I know some of you are because I work with the early degree program students, If you are, let's see, if you're in athletics, or if you are in the nursing program already, or the respiratory care program already, not if you're just interested in them, but if you are actually already in them, or if you are using veteran benefits, or if you are using special accommodations. If you meet with Pam Tate and you have that set up, then you are actually allowed to register that very first day, no matter how many credit hours you have completed. So make sure you don't miss that. The other thing, see how it goes by number of credit hours completed, so you don't get to count what you're currently in. So if this is your first semester and you have 15 hours this semester, you don't get to count those 15 hours in this time period. So make sure that you know when you're supposed to register and that you should meet with your advisor before that date so you have it all planned out. And then I'm going to turn it over for a few minutes here to Carrie, and she's going to talk about how once you have that schedule planned out, you'll go into Grizzly Den and register and check your schedule and things like that. And she'll hit upon these white pages that we gave you. These are some good planning tools that you'll use in your advisor appointment.
Thank you, Cindy. Well, my name is Carrie Jones. Yeah, you can give Cindy a hand.
Oh.
All right. So when you do meet with your advisor, there are some things that you will be covering in that meeting, okay? And as Cindy has already established, the relationship you have with your advisor is very important for you while you're here and as a student. I know my first year, I wandered around campus, I didn't ask questions, and I felt just incredibly lost. So I can certainly relate to that. And my biggest piece of advice for you is talk to your advisor. Ask questions, okay? Any question. If you're wondering about how to do something, just start talking to them, okay? So some of the things that your advisor will go over with you are these sheets. If I can shuffle all this. Here you go. The first one is an advising planning grid. And this is for short term, okay? Usually we fill this out in pencil. We kind of look at the schedule for the spring semester, and we pencil in there some classes that might work for the short term. But then we also have another sheet, the program planning guide. This is more long term. And this kind of helps lay out some of those courses and those classes for other semesters as well that you might want to go ahead and start thinking about taking. As Cindy mentioned earlier, if you're thinking about moving on to a bachelor's degree, maybe you have a program picked out in Springfield, for example, you can also start putting in some of those courses in this long-term planning guide to help you. Again, that can save time, that can save money, and that's really important in your college studies here. She already went over this sheet as well. Your advisor will help you get the appropriate degree sheet and course catalog that falls under. But it's always important to go ahead and take a look at this and be proactive. It's okay to do some of these things yourselves prior to meeting with your advisor. It might even help that process along a little bit, okay? So anyway, these are the three sheets that typically we use in an advising appointment. And now I'm going to switch to Grizzly Den. Grizzly Den, if you haven't discovered already, can be a very valuable tool for you while you're a student here. If you're wondering what some different information like your transcripts, if you're wanting to access that, this is a great opportunity for you to do so. So hopefully you guys can remember how to find your advisor here in Grizzly Den. After meeting with your advisor, you should have a list of classes on this sheet right here. And if you look in this corner, there's a box that says CRN. Those are CRN numbers that are individually assigned to each course. And after that meeting, you know what time you'll be able to register. From there, what you can do is log into Grizzly Den, and you can go to look up, register for, or drop classes. If you click on this link, you'll have to select that spring term. It'll take you through some information. But eventually you will have a screen that has small boxes in there where you can just put in those CRN numbers. Okay? And that's really helpful for you as well. So make sure that you know how to do this. If you have questions about it, again, you can ask your advisor. But that's another important way, important information and access for you to register for those classes. Other important information for you here in Grizzly Den, once you register for those courses, you want to make sure that they have been submitted and also go ahead and take a look at your week at a glance schedule. And you can do that as well. There's a couple different ways to do it. There is the detail schedule, which will provide you with very specific information. Where the class will be held, what times the class will be held, who the instructor is. And then there's also the week at a glance schedule. And this lays out your week for you. And this is it's a really nice visual aid so that you can see, okay, Monday I've got a class here, Tuesday night I have one here. And for those of you who are planning on working while you're in school, this is nice because you can kind of plan in some time around those classes and just go ahead and make a plan for that. One other thing I do want to mention is registration status. If there's a hold on your account, it can prevent you from registering for those classes. It's important to go ahead and take a few minutes early on, before registration, before those dates, and look at your registration status. I had a student that I met with just a couple days ago, didn't realize that her transcripts from another school had never been submitted. That would have kept her from registering on that day. And something like transcripts, that can take a while to get resubmitted to admissions. You're depending on another school to release that information. So it doesn't hurt to check the registration status. If you have any unpaid parking tickets, if you owe a library fine, all of those things can prevent you from registering on that day. So it doesn't hurt to go ahead and prior to that registration week, take a look in there and make sure you don't have any holds on your account. Okay? I know we're kind of cramped on time today, so I'm not going to get a chance to go through all of this information with you. Other important information on this yellow sheet, down at the bottom, it talks about graduation. Believe it or not, it's not that far off, okay? So just kind of a heads up, I want to mention a few things to you about graduation. Now, usually you start your first year as a student with IDS 110, and then as you're getting ready to complete and graduate and leave school, you then will take IDS 297, which is a sort of a capstone course for our school, and they will be going over some information with you, like your portfolio. You guys have hopefully heard a little bit about chalk and wire, things like that. So they're going to be going over that information with you. They'll also be talking to you about the CAP test. And the CAP test, actually, we don't have a link for that, but the CAP test is a test that you will be taking as you leave campus and as you leave school. And it's an overall assessment of your academics here at school. And they test in different areas. It's nothing that you need to study for or have any anxiety over. It's just kind of a checkpoint to see where you're at upon graduating. So they will be talking to you about that. The other thing is applying to graduate. So you can actually apply to graduate before your last semester. And we actually encourage you to do so because once you apply to graduate, what happens is it signals records and registration to go ahead and look over your transcripts and your degree sheet and make sure that you have anything completed. Now, in the event that you were missing a course, this would be a wonderful opportunity to go ahead and add that into your last semester. So that's the reason why it's really important to go ahead and do these things early. The sooner the better. It's okay to go ahead and plan for that. So, but that is that link right there where you would apply to graduate. You can also, in this box right here, check out scholarship applications. That's also very important. I'm speaking to you as someone with student loan debt, and I do wish that I would have applied for more scholarships. So take the time to do that. We've provided this link right here in Grizzly Den for you to check out that information. So that can be very helpful for you as well. All right, Cindy. Did I leave anything out of there?
The only thing that I would mention is as you do go on toward graduation, you may be applying for another school. And so we have a direct link there as well for the transfer request or the transcript request. And you'll need to fill that out so that your transcript can be sent to that next school. Even if that is Missouri State in Springfield, they still have to receive your transcript.
All right.
I think that's about,
okay.
I think we've already gone over just a little bit.
Yes.
Not a asked us to come in and talk to you about financial aid. And so if you have questions that we haven't covered, we're always willing to meet with you, even if you're not assigned to us as your advisor. Come and see us down in the lower level of the library.
All right.
Thanks.
I do have one thing to mention just real quick, guys, as Dawn is coming down and preparing. The Missouri State University Public Affairs Convocation is actually going to be October 28th. That will be streamed live.